Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024. I think I said 23 yesterday. 2024. And we are here in the Java Cafe. Going to bring in our mayor. She is on the road, so we may get a little glitchy, but we have a shortened time with her right after her. Her Office of Civic Engagement is going to come in and chat with us about the Civic Engagement Summit that's coming up, I believe, on the 14th. I got to get that date right. We'll be there live covering it on that date. So let's bring in our mayor, Mayor Wu. Good morning.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. How are you doing? Look like you got a little trim or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to get ready for the new year.
Listen,
I'm good. I stayed up way too late last night. We're trying to just get State of the City all settled, the speech, the logistics, the experience for everyone, and it's kind of all hands on deck for the entire team at this point.
absolutely. I was there last year, and I was thinking about it. It is definitely a different experience. State of the City, it's at MGM, and it's business, but then there's also a time of networking, folks getting together and fellowshipping as well. And so we're looking forward to that. We'll be there next Tuesday. There's a lot to discuss, Mayor. And one of the first two things I want to discuss, and we usually go a little bit deeper into how you're doing, but this will kind of cover it. Just going to cut to the chase. There's been a lot going on because you continued a tradition that has been happening for a long time, and you celebrated with electeds of color. Now, there's some irrefutable things. An email went out, a retraction happened. That's fine. Okay, fine. That happens. Simple human error. That happens. In the context of how you're doing and whatnot, this thing caught national attention. There's a narrative being presented. What is your response to a lot of just the opinion of some that weren't favorable toward this and accusing you of, no whites and stuff like that? Like, what is that?
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to break this down, and because there are so many different layers to it.
So many.
The first is, I think most people locally recognize that there's all different affinity groups and caucuses and coalitions that our elected officials work in. And I think if you ask most people on the street whether or not their elected officials should be seeking to build as many bonds and alliances and coalitions as possible, absolutely. And that's how you get the work done, is by bringing people together and finding common cause. And in these jobs, it's important to have space to do that, not just about the policies or the votes or the budget line items themselves, but also just what it means to exist in these jobs and across all different facets of our identity. And there are
caucuses and factions. Sorry.
There's a women's caucus, there's a progressives caucus, and this group in particular was founded before I was even in office, a couple years before, back when State Rep Russell Holmes had just gotten elected, and Senator Linda Dorsina-Forey was in office, and Councilor Tito Jackson, and then Councilor Ayanna Pressley.
Carlos Enriquez,
that's right. Yep. And it's just been a space for every elected official of color who lives in Boston across any level of government to be in fellowship together and to do the work together. And this is a tradition for the holiday party to happen and to rotate who gets to host. I was actually not even supposed to host this year. I was supposed to host last year, but because of the pandemic and a spike in COVID, we ended up having to cancel that day. So it was still my turn from last year. So, you know, I was very, very happy to be able to provide a space where this group, which is now bigger than ever, could come together. And there was a lot of sharing and affirmation and celebration. And then we just had to kind of duck on the way in the door, all the flashing cameras, all
Oh, that
the news crews hiding out, because the whole thing has been twisted to
twisted.
fit this national right-wing narrative of, you know, people who being discriminated against because they're white, and that the the basically an effort to take down DEI, right? That is now being vilified from all different angles. And so some of this, I think, genuinely was people misunderstanding, given the news headlines. You know, they thought maybe I hosted one party for the city councilors and then only invited councilors of color and not the whole council, which as mayor, I agree wouldn't make sense. But I have my big elected officials party for every elected official across every level of government. And then I have probably 20 more different parties that we all go to. And this was one of them. So, you know, I think it was a little bit of misinformation and therefore confusion mixed in with some of the very intensive narrative
Yeah.
that is happening nationally from a certain motivation.
And Mayor, on that, and I needed you to address that one because we haven't talked here since that happened. And because of my time, I used to work on 5. I know that this happens, and this group there are different affinity groups, as you said, and by legislation, there is a Black and Latino legislative caucus that is at a state level by legislation. And so this is, anyway, thank you for addressing that. In your answer to that, you talked about this national movement against and around DEI. Though this institution is technically across the bridge, as we say here, you've attended there. I'm sure that you had shared, like yourself, there was a momentous occasion. I'm basically cutting to the chase around Dr. Gay resigning. I know that, you may be limited in what you can say or whatever, but as a woman in your position, you went to Harvard. What is your response to the fact that she resigned? I know you may not talk to her. You don't know her personal or whatever, but in that context of this national thing, Mayor, one cannot negate that there's some interesting dynamics that play into this. They found a hook around this plagiarism thing, but what is your response wherewith you can respond?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just really saddened by how the whole thing played out. And I mean, I know whatever I say here is going to get taken and tried to be twisted out of context by certain people too, because that is the world that we live in right now. But I simply don't believe that 3 minutes of a video clip, especially in a certain setting where again you're in a place where people are putting you in a gotcha moment,
Yep.
that should define everything. And
Yes.
now, as you said, I think there are other pieces that, because of the spotlight, because of the script, because of the constant media machine that has been attached to this, of course, we all want our universities to reflect the best practices of scholarship and of academia, and no one here is defending plagiarism or anti-Semitism or whatever it is that some folks are trying to say this is about, right? But when you look at who's been doing the pushing, and when you look at who has been generating the constant media noise about it, it is the very same folks who are celebrating now that they've been trying to get rid of DEI in universities for a while now. It happened with the Supreme Court case and
Yep.
the drive behind that at Harvard also. and it continues with the kind of type of victory that certain people are trying to declare in this moment.
There is, and Mayor, thank you. There's a whole campaign, and I haven't really got. It's a very long story that talks about and breaks down this calculated strategy anti-DEI. We know that 65% of a lot of the funding that came out post George Floyd and George Floyd in 2020, 65% of a lot of those positions and funding is gone. And so there's a movement. There's a browning of America. There's a browning of Boston, and folks just can't take it, and we'll move on from there.
Yeah, well, the last thing I want to say is
Yes, go
that
ahead.
this is, I think, what gets, again, we're all big girls with our, big girls pants, or
We'll say
whatever
it.
the right English metaphor is.
Yes, yeah.
And we know what we sign up for when, people step into positions of leadership in all different settings. But there is a human being and a family at the core of this also. And, I didn't have the chance to know President Gay all that well. I did interact with her in a couple different settings and was so excited by her plans for the relationship between Harvard and the city of Boston, by her commitment and vision for the campus to really reflect a sort of spirit that everyone could see themselves reflected in. And, I think I agree. She's even personally said that the words that were used in different settings were not the best ones that could have been used. And I think anyone who's in a position of leadership has a growth curve and a learning curve. And, just a few months in to be in a role like that takes a lot. And I don't think anyone, again, is trying to defend certain aspects of what happened, but it's hard not to put the whole picture together and to look at the dynamics of what happened and how personally this was based, how much sort of racial bias was definitely connected to this, and how much this, people are saying, people are now questioning the entire hiring process and this and that. Well, there are many times before when questions haven't been asked about a lot of different situations, and that's my team and I think we are well aware of an environment right now, and for some time, that there are certain leaders and certain people in our community who have more questions asked anything that they do. And those of us who have come up have always had to know how to work twice as hard, 10 times as hard, just to make it through. But, this start to 2024 really is a big reminder that these dynamics are entrenched, and we still have a lot in front of us.
Absolutely, Mayor. Absolutely. I wanted to shift to, before we go into, because I always like to end on a good note, and there's a lot here that needs to be unpacked. I just want to name that I think it's so frustrating, and you all are in it. There's different dynamics of me as a Black man, you as an Asian woman who speaks Spanish. I've been wanting to say that. That is a problem with a lot of these folks, because you are an Asian woman who's the mayor who speaks fluent Spanish. They go crazy when they see you. Can you just say something in Spanish right now for the trolls that are anyway, in all seriousness, I want to ask you also, I seen the other day, and this does happen often over the holidays, you had to go out to a scene. Violence, our last couple of appearances, though there are issues, there was a time where every time you was on, because there was such a lot of issues of violence, we would talk about violence and mass and caste. We had got away from that, not that violence had stopped, but when you went out the other night, can you just for a couple of seconds just address where we are with violence, the response to it, the plan, not just for the summer, but the plan? And I know we'll hear more from you, on Tuesday, but can you address that a little bit? And then I want to go into a couple of good things, because you talked about, the city council and diversity, and we're going to talk about that. And also a little walk you took with some winners a couple of weeks ago. So the violence in our city, Mayor, where are we with that?
Yeah, I wish we could say even into 2024 that we were starting from a fresh year. But first of all, we are not, in that even a couple hours into the new year, there was an incident of violence. That is still under investigation right now, and or at least there was a fatality from a gunshot wound, and that's still under investigation. So one family already grieving into
Yes.
this year. And also that we know that for families who have lost a loved one, who are survivors of homicide, of gun violence, of violence in our city, just because all of a sudden it's 2024, it's not like everything got erased and the switch got flipped and we're back to square one. I've gotten to spend time with many of the families, and some of the families try to spend time even on major anniversaries or in the years after their horrible tragic losses, and it's just as intense. So we're working really intensely on every front ourselves. Dr. Isaac Yablo and
Yes.
the police department and the school department and the Public Health Commission, VIAP, and all of our partners have a really solid infrastructure now that we've been building intentionally for the last year or so. And the numbers are, again, in the national context, Boston has always been the lowest in terms of our public safety statistics and number of crime incidents.
Mhm.
This last year, we just got the full numbers back on the entire year, down again compared to the year before, which was among the lowest years that we've ever had. So while we continue to see, so-called progress in terms of reductions of violence, we're not satisfied until we eliminate violence. And the plan that Isaac's been leading with community groups, with those who are on the ground, just to make sure we're all coordinated in all the, as Chaplain Sherry describes it, the primary, secondary, tertiary ways to intervene with violence. We have to make sure that along that whole spectrum, from the sort of preventing something from happening all the way to managing and supporting and investing in resources to try to address the trauma from something that has happened, that's all within the work that the city needs to do.
Absolutely. And I will say publicly that Dr. Yablo reached out, and we were on a little vacation. And so we're going to get him a couple of dates that he can come on. One last thing before we get into the good and crossover is that another thing in the context of you being attacked, and some a lot of bringing to surface a lot of things around race in this city, was that you took it upon yourself, I'm sure with some counsel, but you took it upon yourself to issue an apology to the Bennett family recently. And there was some backlash. There was, just another, not your motive, but folks use that as another strategy point in this whole equity. Let's just really talk about that anti-equity. What was it for you, Mayor? I don't know if you were, even with all due, I don't know if you were born. We know you weren't here, but what about you, Mayor, made you talked about what you all go through as a woman in this position. You were not foreign to the backlash that's going to come from this decision. What drove you to still do this on behalf of a city with such a reputation, with what that docuseries brought up? Why did you do it? Why did you feel it was important to apologize?
Yeah, and some people were asking me, oh, the timing was, just days after the HBO, the sort of last section of the documentary came out. Did you watch it? And did you watch it? And then all of a sudden you decided to do it. And it's no, that's not how it happened. It's not something that, we just decided and pulled together and picked up the phone and said, I'll meet you at City Hall. There were many community members who were flagging that this whole kind of public conversation was about to start, flagging this months ago, and flagging that, you know, you had reached out and said that you were hearing from people also, and that this was going to be a very triggering situation for so many in our city. And we had already started to talk about and reach out to those who were impacted about how we could try to make sure that if we were going to have this conversation, there could be healing in it as well. And that we could, from the city's point of view, try to contribute in some small way to that healing. And as the conversations deepen, particularly with the family and representatives of Mr. Bennett, that this was something that would be meaningful to them, a starting point on a much larger journey of following up and connecting on the pieces that need to happen. But in fact, the public aspect of it was something that we really debated, right? Because we knew this would be described as performative, as political, as, you know, just trying to be in front of cameras. And that was very much a reason not to do it and not to move forward, that we thought about. But at the end of the day, this is again, a human being, his family, and his loved ones who are still living and carrying this today. And if it was going to start the process of healing for these family members, it was worth it.
Mayor, we're not on the phone, so I can't say what I want to say, but I want us to end on two good things. One is you talked about a glimmer of hope in seeing the diversity on first of all, now a little petty of me, I thought the inauguration was this coming Monday. And then I thought about it. I said, there's no way in the world you, John, Matt, and Amy would have an inauguration on Monday and stay.
No choice.
Yeah, no choice. Okay. And so let's end on a couple of good notes. One is, and we've talked about this a little bit, there is a political side to getting things done. Say Boston City Council without smiling.
The city charter requires that the first Monday of
I'm not talking
any
about
term.
That. Yeah. I'm not talking about that.
I'm doing my politician thing. The first Monday of any term, you have to do inauguration. And so there was one other time when I was on the council when it was on New Year's Day, and it is painful. It is a real test of your family and your friends' commitments to you. Are they going to show up with you bright and early on New Year's Day? And as usual, you know, there was fun, there was emotions, there was a little bit of spice and surprise and you know, but it was. I'm very, very glad that we now have a city council president and city council, and
congratulations to Ritzy. Yep.
Infrastructure and support mechanisms all around them, where I think they're really eager to dig in and move forward. And if anything, the new city councilors, the ones who were just technically sworn in on Monday, they'd already been showing up at all the holiday events. And I was telling them, you've got to relax, take it slow, and you're not doing the job yet. Just take time. But they're so eager and so devoted to their districts, and it's going to be a great term.
I'll just say this, I mean, it was public. You supported a lot of those new faces on the city council.
Yeah, I decided to try to surprise them a little bit with during the inauguration. I wanted to just say something about each of the new counselors, and then decided that the best way would be for their family to say it about them. And so got just a little tidbit from a family member for each of them. And I hope, that was my little attempt at trying to give them the best possible start this term, and to be there, whatever they might need.
Mayor, you're good. You're good, because you know where I was going with this. Congratulations on, getting different policies through the council. So with that being said, one of the things that I'm joking about here is because I'm aware of civic processes. I'm aware of how things run in City Hall and whatnot and getting things done. And though not on that level, on the 13th, thank you to Shad from Boston While Black. Real quick before we bring Natalia in, Mayor, you and I share a title now. Just a little
Oh,
bit.
yes. You and me, yeah.
No. Salute to you too. So shout out to Boston While Black, who's in the building that got us the date. The 13th, there is the Civic Engagement Summit. And one of the things that's been a movement before George Floyd, but really after, because we had the marches and the protests, but then where was policy? Why are you having, in the Office of Civic Engagement, having this summit? Natalia is in the background. She's getting ready to come in and cross over with you. So we're going to bring her in a second. But the Civic Engagement Summit, what do you hope that folks get out of that?
Yeah, it's been some time since the city has been able to bring everyone together and to really share insights and best practices on how to serve your community, how to be involved. But I think for me, my favorite part of it is that I get the chance and the gift of getting to see the work happening in every single corner of Boston every day. And
Okay.
I get to see the similarities that actually are all across the board, and also the ways in which something really unique and beautiful is happening in this place that actually would help if other people knew about it in another place. We
Yep.
are a city of neighborhoods, and we are a city of small micro neighborhoods. And when we get the chance to really connect all of that together, that's when we get big things done that really have an impact even beyond Boston.
Okay. Mayor, I thank you. We're scheduled for February, and so we'll talk about Black history, and then I know Martin Luther King Day is coming. A year ago, we had the Embrace, there's just so much going on around equity and diversity in the city. I see why some of the people are mad. But Mayor, thank you. We're a little bit past our time with you. Shout out to the team there. Happy New Year to you, Connor, and the kids, and the admin and everyone there. And stay up and stay strong. It's 24 is a year of creation. So keep on creating and doing things, Mayor. And we look forward to speaking to you next month.
All right. Thank you. See you, Natalia.
Bye, Mayor. Good morning, Jenny.
How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing well, and I just forgot I was supposed to talk to the mayor about the Dorchester Eagles. Crap, they're going to get me. They're wonderful Bowl victory. But Natalia, how are you doing this morning?
I am good. So glad to be here. So thank you so much for the invitation.
Absolutely, I'm glad to have you here. We got to talk with the mayor about I can say it that well. You're on City Hall time, so I can't say too much. But we know publicly that the mayor had backed some folks in the election. And so part of that, and Henry and Enrique and different ones have been civically engaged for some years. Just seeing them and knowing them, they've been civically engaged. And so there's something that the city is doing on January 13th. And before we get into that, we know that actually Councilor Santana actually used to be in the position that you're in now. And so first of all, you got any plans? Oh, no, I'm really joking. I'm messing about, just moving on and doing other things. But tell us who you are, a little bit about yourself, and how you landed in that position to oversee the city's civic organizing department.
Of course. And before we get to talk about me, so blessed to have Henry and Enrique join the council. Henry, like you said, used to be my predecessor. And Enrique used to be my director when I was in ONS.
Oh, okay.
So I know them both very well. I have worked with them both very well, and they're both very capable, amazing human beings.
Yeah.
And as for myself, my name is Natalia Benitez. I am originally from Colombia. I migrated to Boston sometime in 2015. I was only going to be here for college, but I never left. I love the city. I live in East Boston. Always lived in Eastie, so I rep Eastie really, really hard. And I started. Sorry, you said?
No, just laughing.
So I started my career in City Hall as an ONS liaison. I used to cover East Boston for Mayor Wu. I did that for about a year and 9 months. And then I got the amazing opportunity to take over the Office of Civic Organizing. And it's been an amazing 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so tell us, what was this a vision of yours, or was it already in place? The civic organizing, civics. Just say it right for me. What's the name of the event? I'm
The
going to bring
Civic
it up.
Summit.
Civic Summit. Okay, you go ahead and tell us a little bit about it, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring it up.
So funny enough,
Go ahead.
this was actually a request from community members. Community members have been asking for a place where they can gather, where they can get educational development, where they can network, where they can meet other folks from the rest of the city to see what they're doing. And especially one person was very, very, very demanding of this coming, which is Margaret Farmer from East Boston. So we actually just made it happen. When we first took on the office after Henry left, we had a little bit of a budget that we can, make it happen. And so it's been an interesting 3 months. It's the first time our team has ever designed an event of this magnitude. So it's been a lot of learning, but it's been really, really great.
Awesome. And so where folks can go, I'm going to actually put the link in the comments right now. It'll be hyperlinked. And so after the show, you can go there to get more information and register as well. So there is the information. We'll put it on screen there. We're just going to go through real quick. And so you just go to the website and here's the information down here. And then what are some of the features or some of the things that folks can look forward to from the event as we're scrolling through? Just some of your personal highlights that you're looking forward to.
I think definitely the networking piece. I think, like the mayor said, we are so focused in our own areas that oftentimes we miss that connectivity between neighborhoods. And oftentimes we do duplicate a lot of the work that we do. So being able to have people talk to each other and see where the similarities are, where their enthusiasm lays, I think it's going to be really, really nice. Also, the sessions, I'm really looking forward to the sessions. I'm really looking forward to the fireside chat with the mayor. There's 4 different sessions that we're having with amazing speakers that I'm personally going to be in all of them because I do appreciate their expertise and time that they're donating to this event. So we're really, really excited to be hosting this. And I know we talked about the registration, and I want to give you a piece of
I was going to go into that because I saw breakfast and lunch and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, is there any, fees?
So we opened the registration, I want to say like 10 days ago or 12 days ago. We sold out completely in the first 12 hours.
So wait a minute. So it's sold out. So what are y'all going to do as far as increasing capacity?
So this is a great time for asking for the budget for next year so we can throw a bigger and much better Civic Summit.
Wait a minute. I should have queued you up and had the mayor. Whoa, that was good. We're in budget season right now, but I mean,
we're in budget season, so I will be asking for more capacity. Obviously, this was the very first, so we had a capacity for 200 people. We honestly didn't anticipate the response that we got, but clearly there's a need and a want from community to have spaces like this for professional development and networking. So we're listening, and next year we'll come back bigger and better.
So what do we say? Because today was a little bit of advertisement. What do we say to the folks today?
So today we say to the folks that we're so proud. You know why? The neighborhoods that had the most signups for the Civic Summit are Roxbury.
Okay.
East Boston, Dorchester.
Okay. What part? Hold on. Because there's we're a city of neighborhoods. There's the certain parts of Dorchester, and there's other parts.
No. We're talking about Mid Dorchester.
Okay. Where I like
Mid-Dot,
you, Natalia. Okay.
Mid-Dot and Hyde Park.
Okay.
And we're so proud because we're really, really, really happy to have these folks come. And these are neighborhoods that have historically sometimes have been overlooked.
Yeah, a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our neighborhoods that have been really good at organizing together, but not really have been trained to organize with each other.
Yeah. Well, that's not just neighborhoods. That we can apply that to leadership. And anyway, I'm not going to get you in trouble.
Please don't get me in trouble, Jimmy.
I'm not gonna get you in trouble. I am not, I promise. But I think it's so important though too, and Chief, that's a friend. So there needs y'all. When is it? On the 13th?
On the 13th.
That Howard Thurman Center needs to figure out a way to get y'all at least another 50 seats. I'm sure Matt, you know, who's probably helping with the special organizer. I don't know who's in the office from comms talk about where Jimmy about to go with this. But they need to figure out a way to get increased capacity. You know what I mean? Because I think folks are going to see about it today. And I just think it's important. And because it's such a awesome opportunity, I'm gonna challenge folks to figure out a way to get you increased capacity so you can open it up at least for another 25, 50 people. I'll get in trouble and I'll probably get a few texts later, but because I am glad to hear that the registration is primarily certain areas. And shout out to Eastie, because Eastie and sometimes Westie, they feel like the stepchildren. Let's keep it 100. They feel like the stepchildren sometimes because they're not in Central. They're across the bridge. West Roxbury is way out that way. And so that's good to also hear as well. And so I am so glad in one way that it's sold out. That means that people are signing up and participating. But on the other hand, I'm like, well, dag, we advertising it and folks might want to sign up.
We had no time, you know, it was crazy. It was crazy. We were just looking at the numbers and we're like, what is going on?
That is definitely a good thing. And it means that people are in tune. It is a good problem to have. But now can we present, and as you're sipping, can we present a new problem and try to get increased capacity so y'all can open registration back up?
You know, we'll definitely look into it. We have some more walkthroughs at the Thurman Center, so we'll see what we can do.
Natalia, but I love the response of next year. We just asked for a bigger budget so you can make it bigger, because this is, I mean, the workshops, the breakdown, and getting to know one another. I see my sister's in here, Janae. I'm presuming she's facilitating the fireside with the mayor. Yeah,
got that right.
So that is definitely going to be awesome. And then Jay, they're a part of it as well. And then Chief Millard. Well, I took it off screen, but I definitely am looking forward to this. We got a sidebar because I guess I'll be covering, or you know, at the summit doing some coverage of it. So glad to definitely be there. And glad to have you here today, following up with the mayor and putting her, you know, stamp on it. It is just so important that we keep creating spaces like this. Is there anything that we missed? Registration for now is closed. Are there any plans for mini follow-up or anything like that that folks can maybe plug into in their neighborhoods post the big sort of citywide summit? I think we got Natalia. Okay, there she goes. I think there's a little delay. Did you hear me, Natalia? We may have a little, you know, them walls at City Hall are very, very thick. Hopefully we can get her right back.
Okay, I think I got you back.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Okay.
Tell people to stop sending me emails.
I think the connectivity.
All right, let's just ask this last question. Will there be follow-ups or will this be streamed?
So there will be follow-ups. We'll definitely be engaging community throughout the year. That is going to be that's a done. And we're looking into streaming right now, at least some of the sessions, especially the panel, the one with the mayor. So more information to come, but that's a conversation that we're having this week because we understand the need and the want and the importance of this. So
I'll just mention that you know, I'm available. We can talk. You know, anyway, let me get you off of here before we get in trouble. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us. Reach out, let me know so we can get the deets settled for next week. But looking forward to hearing about it next year and also the follow-up that will happen. So folks that may be hearing about it today can get plugged in later on. And then we'll keep folks abreast about the stream, and we'll get the information out on our platform as well.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jimmy, so much for having us this morning.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being with us. All right. Bye-bye. Listen, folks, today was definitely a civic engagement and organizing day. It is 9:43, and y'all know I got a whole bunch of commentary, but I'm going to save it maybe for tomorrow. For those of you that were on yesterday and saw my meltdown with our tech issue, went live, and I think we got it fixed. And so I'm determined today that what I wanted to show y'all yesterday, we're going to be able to show y'all today. I'm going to do a different one, but I just want to let folks know that tomorrow at 9 a.m., we are going to present the event that happened at Daryl's Corner Barn Kitchen that happened on Thursday, that last jam session. We will be airing that tomorrow at 9 a.m. for Just Jimmy tomorrow. I'm going to take a chance and see if this thing is still working. It worked yesterday when I did a test. So y'all let me know if the sound is coming through. Well, y'all do let me know because y'all quickly type no sound, no sound. Check our brother Adonis here, just a sample of what we're going to share with you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I'm putting all of the clips together. So you all will be able to hear that tomorrow. I think we'll be good. I see Michelle's comment. That is a jazz session, so you'll probably get a bunch of peaks between the drums and different things, but sound, snap, snap. So I think we got it in. We're good. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., join us. I'm going to see if Nia will be available so she can call in. But be with us tomorrow. And the next couple of weeks, we want to let you know that next week, we're really focusing on our electeds week. This week is sort of a new year, new you. Next week, we're focusing on our electeds. And then the week after that, which is the week of King, the King holiday, I'm letting everybody know now that beginning on January, let me go to the date. Not sure about the 15th, if I'll be at the MLK breakfast or not, but the week of the 15th, I'm letting everybody know now, the week of the 15th, whether we do it that Monday or that Tuesday, we are moving to 10 a.m. for 1 week. All right. Week of the 15th, Java with Jimmy will be on at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. the week of January 15th, 12 noon the week of January 22nd. All right. We'll get flyers out and information done here. But the week of January 15th, we're moving to 10 a.m. The week of January 22nd, we're moving to 12 noon. We put out an ask a few weeks ago, and I asked you all, what are some alternative times that you would watch since folks are back at work? 9 o'clock is an interesting hour. Some are just arriving at work. Folks have hit me up and said, just getting in, I'm jumping on late. And yes, folks can go to the after watch. One of the tenets and one of the things about this platform is our live engagement. And so please remember that on the week of the 15th, we're doing 10 a.m. for 1 week. We're going to look at those numbers. We're doing 12 noon the next week. We're going to look at those numbers. Then we're going to go back to 9 a.m. the last week in January. Sometime after we look at the numbers, I'm going to have to make a decision, and we may move to a few days a week. These are things that we're looking at. There's some things happening in the background, expansion, and we want to build with that and increase our impact. Real Boston Media, who's not with us today, said, Jimmy, if you want different results, you got to do different things. And one of my hardest contributors to moving away from this time is the folks that have been with me since March 24th, 2020. We've been together completing 4 years in March, starting on 5 years, going into our 5th year. And it's a very hard thing. I'm committed to you all like you all are committed to me. And we've been in this 9 o'clock hour for a long time. And so I'm sensitive to that, but I'm sure that you all want me to increase our impact and expand. And so I'm asking for your flexibility for those that are so used to 9 a.m. That please be flexible with us for those 2 weeks. And then when we make the decision, come on with me if you're able to. We're glad to have you be a part of the Java family here in the Java Cafe. That has been, Pam, thank you so much. Wait a minute, y'all. Sharon Cornelius put her hands up. She was one of the main ones that when I tried to switch 2 years ago this week, tried to move y'all to different platforms and doing different things. Sharon was like, we ain't going nowhere. Her, Heidi, they was like, no, we like the one click here on Facebook. And so I'm so glad that I seen Sharon's hands up. Michelle, we're definitely going to follow up next week and have a chat. So that's it for me. We will see everyone tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. For our Daryl's Corner Bar and Kitchen concert, virtual concert. All right. I will talk to you guys soon. Thank you so much for being here today. And UCB, you all get an hour today. I don't think I saw. Mama Java is here. Hey, Mama Java. Appreciate you. And that's it for me. All right. We'll talk to you guys soon. Have a wonderful day, everybody. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I don't think I got anything announcements. It's just me tomorrow. I think that is it. I think we're good. Have a good day, y'all. Peace.